Y'all see that? Y'all see it? This is what is called good news. Good news, people. Okay, let me duck a little bit. Can y'all see me? Yes, y'all can. Y'all can see me. It wasn't looking really good, right? It wasn't looking really good. As in, baby, they were not stocking that thing. And I bet you if I go on the website right now, it might be in stock. We're gonna check later if that's the thing. It's Sunday today, so we're gonna check if they are in stock. It wouldn't surprise me that all of a sudden, when you buy something else, there it is, what you actually need. That is not going to deter us at all. We are going to work this baby. For the last painting, I won't be doing that quite soon because I have a commission in the meantime that I have to do. The only thing that we're going to do right now is just unbox her so that I can show you how it looks like. That's it, that's all. Let's start. Just to show you all how big this thing is. This is a huge piece of canvas. And mind you, I want to go bigger. Just not today. Well, I don't know how you say it in English, but in Dutch we say pakbon. So on this receipt, just for lack of a better word, on this receipt it says 1. This receipt, I don't know if you can call it a receipt. It's more like, in Dutch they would say pakbon. I will put the English word on the screen for you all. But baby, who's complaining? I got 2. Let me check if there are 2. Oh God. It's kind of odd to be filming like this. Oh my God. No, people, I got blessed. I got blessed by the art angels because I have 2 canvases. Listen, y'all don't even understand why I'm so happy with this. I got 2 canvases. Come on now. Listen, I want to do a dance or something. I want to flip backwards and I can't even flip backwards. 2 linen canvases. Yeah, that's good. Oh, and that sound are those little pieces, the wedges that you use. Let me show y'all. Here you can see the little wedges that go into the corners of a canvas. And the reason why they go into the corners of the canvas is to tighten it up so that it doesn't get, you know, all wobbly. Sometimes I need it, sometimes I don't need it, but it is advised to use them. It is advised to use them. So when you see those little wedges, do not throw them away. As a matter of fact, I do have a whole bag of these wedges in my studio, in my small studio here. But it is actually advised to put them in the corner so that the canvas tightens up and it stays taut. to its frame. Basic linen, 100% linen. And for the people that paint, you already know linen is a lot more expensive than cotton. Even if you would buy premium cotton, even if you would go for premium cotton, it is a lot more expensive than linen is a lot more expensive than premium cotton. So I mean, and these are about almost 60, I would say 45, no, 54. These are 54, I think, if I'm correct. So it actually would have been 100 euros that I had to spend on this, but only 54 euros were spent on these canvases. I can't wait to start, but I just have to wait. So what am I going to do with the other canvas? I don't know. I think in a previous video I already said that I wanted to close the project of I Am Still King, but maybe this is a sign that it needs to continue. And I have to go out and find another muse for this project. And I don't really have a muse in mind that I would like to ask to pose on this canvas. So to be continued. But hey, I am not complaining, right? I am not complaining. I am not. Let's put these babies in the studio. Okay, so here's the thing about value. Value is subjective. However, there is a way for yourself to determine what the value is in your line of work. So I would definitely say talk to other people. If they are willing to share with you what their pricing is when it comes to illustrations, paintings, digital work, dance, creative solutions, filming. If you can get that from other people, that would be great. You can also, of course, snoop around a little bit on the internet and see what it is that people are pricing themselves for. Also compare your work to other people. If you are a beginner, you're not going to set the same pricing. Well, most of us wouldn't. However, normally people wouldn't set the same pricing as someone who has been in the field of 10 years. That doesn't say everything, however, because someone could be underpricing themselves or overpricing. So again, compare, see what is prevalent, right? See what stands out. What type of number stands out to you? What type of number do you see appear a lot? And from that point, you can take that into into determining what your value is. Why am I not talking about price? And why do I say value so much? Because here's how I look at it. And you might be looking at it differently, and I would like to know that. If so, put it into the comments. How do you look at the concept of value and price? The way that I look at the concept of value is that price is included into that. Price does not necessarily take into account your value. So that's a huge difference that I see in those two concepts. So I like to say, what is your value? You hear me talk about it a lot. You can find many videos on this channel where I talk about standing up for your value and determining your value and how you can create that value. I talk about value and take into consideration that price is a part of that. Now, some people say, well, I can see that as the same thing as price. That's fine. I mean, there is no rule that says one has to be the other. I consider value to be encompassing a lot of factors. And with that is also your price. So look at how others are setting themselves into the market. And also take into consideration when you set yourself into the market, how you're stepping in. It helps to also be confident about what you're setting as your value, right? Because eventually you have to communicate that to the people, to the folk, to the people that you're partnering up with, to the people that you are doing commissions for. You have to be comfortable and you have to be confident of what it is that your value is, and also understand for yourself how you have come to that number. Number 2, do take into consideration all the elements of your value, which connects with number 1 and why I do not say that value and price are the same. Your value stands on not just the fact that you create art and that you have the canvas that you are using for that, or you're using certain brushes, or the material cost, or the time that you're putting into that. It also takes into consideration the type of art that you're creating, the type of artist that you are. It also factors in, of course, that you have to pay your bills. You have a certain lifestyle that you want to maintain. How do you see yourself presenting into the world? You have to factor all of that in. It doesn't stop at you putting a piece of art, or creating a piece of art, or creating a creative solution or output product for someone else. It goes further than that. Take all of that into consideration, because if you set a price value that only reflects that particular part of your work, then you're going to overwork yourself a lot. You're going to overwork yourself a whole lot, because you're not being paid for your brand. And your brand is everything. It's not just your name, it's everything that comes into doing business as the person that you are. It's the marketing that you put into it. It's the promotion that you put into it. It's upholding a certain image, a presentation that you put into it. It's you learning to become even a better artist. It's you factoring in the potential and also the growth of you being more well-known and your work growing out into something better. All of these are all little things, but you do have to factor them into your lifestyle. This is not just my living. I have a lifestyle. I am a creator. I'm an artist. It looks this way, and in order for me to maintain this lifestyle, this is what I need when it comes to the compensation for the work that I put out. Factor that in. Sit down and factor that in. What you will see is that the value that you only set for your artwork will become higher. There will be a markup on that, and that is okay. Be comfortable with that markup. That markup is your brand that comes on the value of on the costs that you would have of creating the art. It's not just the art that you create, it's the artists that they are commissioning for, that they are partnering with, that they are asking for the work to be done. Right? It's a whole lot different than just setting a price. That is actually creating value. Number 3, which is really important when it comes to stating your value and how you communicate it and how you create your contracts with partners, people that are commissioning you, is that you have to be clear on the rules of the game. Tell people how you work. Tell how much time it's going to cost you. Tell people what the payment arrangements are. Tell people how they can pay you. Start with in Dutch they call it offerte. I will put the English word on the screen as well, but in Dutch we call it offerte. It is the first step before you actually send somebody the bill, and it is an invitation for 2 people to come together and say, okay, well, this is product X, this is the value that I will ask for giving you product X. And then people can say, well, for me that is good, for me that's bad, these are the reasons, and then you go into that conversation. You can also explain why you come to that value and why it is the value that it is, and anything else that comes out of it. The reason why I say do that before you even start the work is because you do not want to be, you don't want to start the work and then come to the conclusion that that person is like,
well, the price that we said was, I don't know if it's right because someone else can do it.
It hasn't happened to me, but I've read enough stories on the internet where people are not setting correct boundaries and rules when it comes to doing business with them. And you do have to take into consideration that you have to set the rules. It helps you to guide the process a lot better. If you expect that people pay 50% before you even start with the work, of the payment, of the value that you're asking them, then you have to communicate that beforehand. People need to know what the rules are before they even start doing business with you, because it's only fair for them to also make the right decision. It also allows for people to say, well, listen, I do want to work with you, but my budget is this. Is there maybe something else that we can discuss, and maybe something else that you can offer? It is, however, up to you if you want to do that. You do not have to comply with that, right? Because I am all for people, having a budget and wanting to have something great, but also wanting to work with somebody and look if something is possible within the budget that they want to have. However, when a customer, when a potential client comes to you, they already researched you. They have researched you. They have seen your work. They have seen the quality of your work. They have seen how you've presented yourself. So there is already a certain expectation when it comes to the work that they expect from you. And with that expectation, there's also a value connected to that, right? So in no way, shape, form, or fashion is it our job as an artist to create a value for everybody's budget. No, the value is based on your work. That is what you need to be focusing on your work. Okay, we're gonna stop this lifestyle of artists that are struggling, and we're going to start the lifestyle of artists are thriving and living a beautiful life. And also stating fair, clear prices. Not that we were not doing that anyway, but just to make it clear for people where they are stepping into. So people are already researching you, people already, they kind of expect what it is that they can get from you. And just to make sure that you're not dealing with people that expect the most for the least, set up a value that allows you also to have customers you would love to work with, clients that you would love to work with, partners that you would love to work with. Okay, so have a good set of rules that can help you with that. So think about delivery time, think about starting time. Is it possible for people to make revisions? How many times do people have the possibility to make revisions? If extra revisions are being made, do they have to pay more for that? Do you start with like a offerte? I say it in Dutch again. Or are you giving them the bill? Do they need to make a prepayment? Is it possible for them to pay in a couple of months? Or do they have to pay in full? Just think about those things. Sit down and think about those things. It sounds like a lot, right? But the better you are prepared for that, the less room there is for people to wiggle into and be like, oh, but you didn't talk about this, or you didn't talk about that. Oh, but this artist does. Listen, whenever people start with this artist, the other artist starts with this, for me, the conversation is already over. Now, I'm not that rude to be in that person's face and be like, well, listen, you go to the other person. But I am going to be very cordial and say, well, that might be then a better decision for you. So set down the standards of how you work. What are the rules to your game? Okay, when people come to play in this field, what are the rules? Set down the rules. Number 4, point number 4, and I already talked about it a little bit in part 3, in the third part. This is going to be a difficult one because you have to understand what type of client you are going to attract with the value that you are putting down. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an analogy. You can go to the 99-cent store and find everything that you need, but you already know that the quality is not going to be that good, right? Everybody can go in there, everybody can get what they want to get, and the quality is not really good. Or you can go to a high-end store. You know, you have to put some money to the side, but you know that when you go over there and to buy the items that you want to buy, you will come into a pool of people that, you know, it's a certain niche of the market, right? It's a certain niche of the market. These are people that have a certain amount of spending power. They have a certain lifestyle. They expect a higher value. They expect a certain service with it. And they also are paying for the value because they want to pay for the value. They know what they're getting back for it, right? So consider that for your artistry and your creative business, that is just as applicable. Okay, it is great that you want to create art, and if your art says, I want to create, you know, the type of art that everybody can get and everybody can buy, I want it to appeal to everyone, and you know, I don't want to leave anybody out, kudos, that's for you. Do what you need to do for that. If you are a type of artist that says, well, no, I have a very tight niche, and you know, this is the type of art that I create, this is my creative product, my creative service that I'm putting out, and this is just a value that is connected to it, so I won't be appealing to a lot of people because of the value, but they know that when they give me the value that I'm asking for, they're going to get a hell of a product. Kudos to you. That could also be the case. But do keep that in mind, because in a lot of times we can work ourselves to the bone for a market that only wants to have a bargain, while your work is so much more than a bargain, if that makes sense. In that particular case, it might be good for you, and that is a decision that I, for instance, have made for myself. That first of all, my market is not for everyone. Secondly, I do not want to work my fingers to the bone. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in hustle mentality. I don't believe in the hustle culture. You can have that. Yeah, you can have that. Thank you. I don't believe in that. I do believe in you know, good, solid work, but I don't believe that I have to be hustling for my value. I can present the value, you take it, or you leave it. Or we can see how we can work with each other when it comes to commissions and things like that. So you do want to take that into consideration. You attract the customer with the value that you're putting out. So if you do not want to put, you know, if you don't want to work your fingers to the bone, and you're working and you're creating a good product, you might want to put a value on it that also is going to have people, you know, that they have expectancy of your work. They're paying for that value, that perceived value that they see from your work. They also want that. They want to connect with that. It makes them feel good. It's a representation of their lifestyle. It's a representation of their cultural taste. It needs to reflect that. If that is not really an issue for you, fine. I mean, oops. What do you want me to say? Tune out. Just tune out. But if it is a factor for you, then I really want to nudge you to think about that and put that into your value as well. Don't set yourself too low, right? Don't set yourself too low where you're like, okay, but I constantly have to work and do something new and do something creative. It can be, of course, because if you have something and you sell for a high amount, it can work in your favor, of course. Of course. But then again, I'm not a mass producer, I'm a contemporary artist. So whatever it is that I'm creating, I'm not creating that on a mass level, not at all. It could be, and there are certain items that I have in my web shop that are, they are affordable to people on a higher scale, on higher scale. However, I don't consider myself to be a mass producer. I'm not like an IKEA, where you can buy a photo and hang it on the wall. It's just not the same. So do factor that into it. You are attracting the customer with the value that you're putting out. Okay? Take that into consideration. Point number 5. Point number 5 is more on a personal level. Now, what do I mean by that? With point number 5, I mean know thyself. Know thyself. You can ask any price that you want to ask, but if you do not believe in it, if you don't stand behind it, if you're not confident about yourself that you actually deserve to receive what it is that you're asking for, it ain't gonna work for you, honey. It's not gonna work. You're not gonna get it. Or you're gonna get it, but you're not feeling comfortable with it because there is this weird negative feeling that you have about it. Could be shame, could be guilt, could be uncomfortability. You're not really comfortable with it. But it is something that you really have to take into consideration. Are you comfortable? Are you confident? And are you also, standing with full assurance of what it is that you're asking? So that's more on a personal level that you're at. And from conversations and also past experience, it is something that, some artists, some creatives are asking themselves, do I feel secure about it? Am I allowed to ask that? Because there's actually no one who can tell me that I cannot ask that. Or they come into situations where they're like, well, can you explain to me how you come to that value? And it's like, well, how do you explain to someone your creative, your artistic value? That's always like it's a tricky point. How do you create, how do you tell that to someone who's just walking down the street, what it is? That's why I say sit down and think of it. Think of the words, write it down. If it's a full page, go from a full page to half a page. If it's a half a page, go from half a page to 5 sentences, and then eventually go to 1, 2, at the most 3 sentences of what it is that you create and what it is that you offer. And then let people make the decision of what it is. Again, that comes with time. And there are also artists and creatives that already got it. So that is huge. I always admire people that already got it. And they're like, listen, I know my value. I know who I am. And this is what I'm asking. So that's great. But not everyone is there yet, right? Not everyone is there yet. So for you, it becomes very important that you become confident in what you do. In order for you to ask the value, you have to be confident in what you are creating. When you're putting it out, you need to know that it's the shit. It is the shit. Nobody else creates it like you. Nobody else does it like you. No one does that. So it's good enough. That is enough. Believe in that. Okay? So in order for you to ask the value that you want, be confident. Be secure. Don't waver. Right? Don't bargain. Don't waver. Don't do that. Be secure.
So this was my summation, my guide, like a really small guide for you all that you can use to create and establish a great value point or number of value points when it comes to determining your price, what it is that your brand is about, your future growth in your pricing, in your value, in your brand. There are so many points that play a factor into this, and everyone can implement this in a different way because all of us do not do the same thing. The way that I implement it might be different from how you are going to implement it. As a matter of fact, it definitely will be. So do imply, do just implement the freedom to do it the way you see fit and how you can find also progression in what it is that you do. If what you are doing right now is not working, you might want to do something else. For the longest, I have been looking at myself and I questioned, well, why is this particular system not working for me? And the moment that I started to do things differently, based on my mindset and how I looked at value and how I looked at myself, it changed everything 180 degrees. So I know that with these particular points, you can at least start. You can create a fundament. Let me know in the comments here below what it is that you think about and how you probably could use one, two, or maybe all of the points in your own journey. Right? Let me know if this has helped and if you want to see more of this particular content. I love making this particular content for you all. These are things that I have been through, and I've implemented them. I love looking at my own process and say, well, where did I do something against myself and how can I now go for myself, right? How can I now make things work for me instead of against me? How can I get out of my own way and change my own mindset? And these points really helped. So that's the end of this video. I hope that you all enjoyed it. We're back on the consistency train. So that means that you can definitely expect weekly videos of me. And I will keep doing my best to give you good, high quality content, give you that great, juicy, just a great, juicy entertainment and infotainment that you can get from a contemporary artist. Before I leave, hit that subscription button. By hitting that button, you will be always updated on new videos that I'm posting. And when you like the video, you help me push it even further into YouTube land. But share it. Also share it with others, share it with the people around you. Talk about it. I saw this lady on the YouTube that was talking about XYZ. So that's me. Share this content with your peers, with your folk, with your tribe, whomever you deem to be very valuable for yourself. That's it. That's all. I'm going to see you next time. Have a good one and stay safe, people. Bye, y'all.